Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another FCS NCAA Division I logo ranking. Today we're going to be talking about the Northeast Conference, and at this point we are really down to the nitty gritty. There's not a whole lot of FCS logos or leagues left to talk about here. So if you've been enjoying the series, I strongly encourage you to go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, because we are going to start transitioning more into some different baseball leagues, and we'll be talking about some FBS NCAA Division I conferences as well. So really excited to get into those, but really excited for this one in front of us today with the Northeast Conference. There are some disclaimers here with each team. I'll kind of have like a note at the bottom of each school that we talk about here, because there are only 9 full members. Not every single one of the 9 schools that are full members have a football program. We are still going to include all those schools in this ranking here, kind of because we've been coming at this series with more of a football angle. So even if the school doesn't have a football program, no big deal. We're still going to be talking about highlighting their logo anyway. But as a result of that, the Northeast Conference does have some affiliate schools that participate just for football only. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into this, knowing that this is just my opinion here. Let's go ahead and start with what I consider the worst logo. And I hate to say worst because it's really not that bad, but let's go ahead and talk about Sacred Heart, which is the first of 2 logos that we're going to look at that have extremely similar energy. It's just the 3 letters for the school, with really not a whole lot left to it. It's just a red SHU for Sacred Heart. This is a Catholic school, as you might imagine, with a name like Sacred Heart. Most of these schools actually that we're going to talk about today are private or have some religious affiliation in some way or another. Historically, they've included a pioneer in some way or another. A lot of these are just way too text heavy, and what we have today, it's a lot more simplified. There's a lot less text than what they've used historically, but just a red SHU. It's just a little uninspired. At number 11, well, same but different. This is, instead of HHU, this is SFU for St. Francis University, home of the red flash. And this definitely gets a nod over SHU because it does have a little lightning bolt flash in the U to kind of tie in the team name a little bit with red flash. And so that tiny little lightning bolt alone is going to get the nod. And I don't think that this is bad. This is a little bit more interesting in that regard. Still not the most inspired logo of all time. I do think it's a lot cleaner than what they were using for a long time, with this like huge lightning bolt. Like, subtlety is kind of just right out the window. But this is what they were using for quite a while, and I'm really happy to see them just kind of strip all that down, focus on something a lot cleaner, a lot simpler. This SFU really does not look that bad at all, but I just think we've got some it's a lot more exciting logos coming up ahead, including here at number 10. This is Le Moyne University, a team that actually participated in NCAA Division II for a long time. So a lot of y'all might be seeing or hearing about this team for the very first time. I know that was my case when I was putting these logos together. And this logo is not bad. I just do think it's too bad that a team name with dolphins couldn't do something a little bit more interesting. Again, we just see a lot of text for the school name and the word dolphins underneath, which we don't need that the word dolphin, because we do see a dolphin in here. Just let the dolphin speak for itself. They've got this older logo here that just focuses exclusively on just a dolphin, and that works a lot better for me. That's a really nice, simple, clean looking, sharp dolphin. This is a school that does not have a football program, but they do have a very, very well-known lacrosse program. And so you can see on their uniforms that they do look really nice. I do like the green and the white on the uniforms. I do like that we don't really see any yellow. I like that so much more than the logo, which is a lot of that yellow is just, wow, it's something. At number 9, we've got a team that's going to be joining the Northeast in football here in the next couple seasons. So we went ahead and included them today. This is the Robert Morris University Colonials. This is a team that I'm quite familiar with because I lived in Pittsburgh for a few years, and I've seen billboards for this team and this school as you're taking the Parkway West out towards the airport. I much prefer the logo that actually has the colonial popping out of the text like this over here. It looks a lot better. He does kind of look like a zombie a little bit. I don't know why he has to be gray. We see better primary logos in this league that focus more on just like the word mark for the school with just the letters that kind of represent what the school is, including at number 8, this is Merrimack College. MC, that blue and yellow really pop, and the letters are really kind of like angular and sharp, super crisp. Like, I really like the font choice on this MC, and this is a logo to me that's just doing a whole lot with very little. This is the Merrimack Warriors, and so they have kind of used like a warrior in some of their older like sort of throwback vintage logos. This really speaks to me from a color standpoint, and just, I love like the angular shape of those letters that MC have like energy to it. Big fan. At number 7, let's look at the other Pittsburgh area school. This is Duquesne University. Huge fan of this school. They play just east of like the downtown area of Pittsburgh. And so they've got like this beautiful football stadium. It's quite intimate, which is a polite way of saying it's very, very tiny, but it's in a great location. Duquesne University is just so beautiful. And I'm a huge fan of this school and the rebranding that they did a few years ago, because when I would go to games there, they had this kind of like Detroit Tigers in the MLB looking D, and I think that looked quite good actually, especially when they have like the Duke itself part of like the larger logo here. This always looked really nice to me, but this current D, like I don't even know how you describe it. Just like we just talked about, like kind of the angular font of Merrimack College. This takes that to a whole other level. This is really sharp. I feel like the top of that D could just stab me right in the face. This is so simple. It's just a D to represent Duquesne, and it is just the most unique font I've seen in a hot minute. Like this looks fantastic in any color. This is just one letter and one color to represent the entire athletic department, and it knocks it out of the park. This is a good job. At number 6, let's take it over to the Wagner Seahawks. This is a logo that has both like really sharp, acute angles like in the back for his neck and in his beak as well, but it also has these really nice curves that kind of show like a forward sort of like motion to it, where it's like really tough and aggressive with those angles, but it's got like this nice flow, and it just has like a really nice sort of like balance in that regard between like being really sharp and angular, but also really kind of like flowing and soft and rounded and curved. And yeah, I really don't want this thing flying at me. This is a bird that's very, very aggressive, very tough looking, and they were able to keep that energy onto the football uniforms, which look fantastic, green and white. Yeah, these look really sharp, and overall this logo, really nice. Next up, let's take it from the Seahawks to the Skyhawks. This is Stonehill College, and kind of like Lemoyne, you might not be familiar with this logo either, because this school just joined in 2022, and they were a Division II school leading up to their move to the FCS into the Northeast Conference. So new logo, new school for many, many people. Welcome the Stonehill College Skyhawks, a very, very cool team, very unique logo here that kind of reminds me of almost like a combination between, if we're looking at the NHL, the Detroit Red Wings and the St. Louis Blues. Those lines kind of creating like a streak behind it. It definitely has like a forward motion, kind of like we saw with Wagner. It's like going somewhere, and it looks like it has just like a lot of speed to it. Historically, they've kind of leaned more into the Skyhawk aspect of their logo, but the decision that they've used to just focus on the S for Stonehill, and that could also represent the word Skyhawk too. I do really like this. I love their use of purple and black, very strong coloring. Yeah, Stonehill College, a welcome addition to FCS NCAA Division I football. I'm a big fan of this logo. Quite deserving of a top 5, actually. Let's turn our attention to number 4, to Fairleigh Dickinson University. Is another program in this Northeast Conference that does not have a football program or football team, but we're still going to talk about them anyway. Is a very successful athletic program, especially like their men's basketball program is kind of what most people know this school from, those that are familiar with the team name, but may not be familiar with this logo, because this is a very recent rebrand. They had one of the worst logos in NCAA Division I. This would be a fun retro throwback logo, and give it a few years, this will be a popular retro vintage look. This was not bound to age well as their primary logo, and so they rebranded, keeping that FDU, which we've seen on their basketball uniforms quite a bit, but having like this sword go through the D to create like a negative space. Using that negative space in that D with the sword going through looks awesome. To incorporate the team name, the FDU for Fairleigh Dickinson, and that sword for Knights. Like what a unique look. This looks awesome. One of the best rebrands that we've seen in college athletics in recent years. One that was screaming for a rebrand too, but this got it, and it got it in a big way. This looks fantastic. At number 3, we've got Chicago State, a school without a football program that is getting one to begin play. Hopefully by 2024, they'll be joining the Northeast Conference, and man, I can't wait for that. This looks insanely cool. The coloring here is just mostly green, but a beautiful looking green with a little bit of black, a tiny little bit of white. Really aggressive, tough look to it with those crazy looking eyes. Big fan of that. A big fan of the sharp angles that we see in kind of like the nape of his neck and the fangs of his teeth and even on his ears. This is going to look sick on a football helmet. Their uniforms are going to be out of control. I really cannot wait for Chicago State to start playing some football here. Getting some football back into the city of Chicago proper. Really the only college football program that Chicago has is Northwestern, which is over in Evanston. It's not really in the heart of Chicago. It'd be really awesome for the city of Chicago to get a football team that they can rally behind, because it ain't the Chicago Bears, I'll tell you that. Sorry. At number 2, we've got another gorgeous rebrand. This is Long Island University, which is now home to the Sharks. Let's just go ahead and take a look at some of their old logos here that they've used when they were known as the Blackbirds, which looked really great. Please ignore that 1989 to 1995, just horrible pixelated version, but best that we could find here. But that Blackbird was not bad. He was pretty cool looking, but I just feel like the team itself never really fully embraced that Blackbird identity, and so they just decided to rebrand altogether, starting in 2019 as the Sharks, and my God, what a difference that has made. With this really light blue and this really soft kind of yellow and the white, it just looks so awesome. They have some of the best uniforms in college athletics. This is a logo and a name that a program can really get behind. Like, I feel like the school, it just probably identifies a lot better with the Sharks than, that they've always been destined to be, rather than the Blackbirds, which, again, that looked great, but that logo never did anything for me. This does a lot for me. Not quite my favorite in this Northeast Conference, though. For that, we're going to have to go with number 1, Central Connecticut University. This is a banger. So this Blue Devil guy that we can see over here, man, he's freaky. He's very pointed in his chin, and that matches the pointedness of his ears and his little horns up here, and his nose even. Everything's just very angular and jagged and pointed, and just gives him this really kind of like distorted, creepy, scary look to it that I'm a big fan of. And you can kind of see that a little bit in like the CC for Central Connecticut that's behind him. The little serif up on that top C also has just like an angular, jagged point to it. I find him really scary, but in a very cool and a positive way. I think this looks fantastic. Again, I'm always a big fan of logos that have, letters to represent the team name, the CC for Central Connecticut, and the actual mascot or an element of that we can see. That's why I loved Fairleigh Dickinson's rebrand. I thought that looked awesome. And the LIU Sharks, there's a lot of good examples of that in this league, but I think that Central Connecticut here does it best. The CC for Central Connecticut, the Blue Devil guy right in front of the letters. They're stacked together nicely. They work together nicely as one cohesive piece, and I have zero complaints with this. This looks quite incredible. Very, very deserving of a number 1 spot. Love this logo. And y'all, that is going to do it for the Northeast Conference. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, again, be sure and go ahead and give this video a like. Subscribe if you're new here, or if you've been watching these videos and you've been enjoying what you're seeing. We're going to be doing the FBS conferences coming up here. We're going to talk about some baseball leagues. Now we're getting closer to spring training. We're getting closer to 2024, which is unbelievable for me to even think about. So really hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for clicking. Thank you so much for hanging out. And we will go ahead and see you in the next video. Cheers, y'all.